things happen. But hey, we're just glad to have you here tonight, representing, black consciousness right here. And Hartford needs that all the time. So I really appreciate you being here tonight. So, hey, man, it's a lot we can jump into. If you want, I can go ahead and just jump right in, brother. I'm ready.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, good, brother. So, right now, we are in a unique era with the new Trump administration. You know, a lot of our black people, some of them are promoting fear to a degree, especially, I would say, from the Democratic Party, things like that, under this new Trump administration. So I want to know, how do you feel about the current administration with this whole Elon Musk thing, et cetera? How should we as black people mentally approach this new Trump era, politically, socially, economically, et cetera?
Well, for me, as a former political science major, I don't really look at personalities. I look at policies. And I think that American African people need to look at policy, not personality. And when I say that we should look at policy and not personality, I'm speaking directly to the point that the American policy towards African people has never changed since slavery. The policy of this country is still to keep all the power and the resources in the hands of white people, and to keep black people as dysfunctional, as disorganized, and as disempowered as they possibly can. That has never changed. So for me, I see no difference between a Barack Obama or a Donald Trump in terms of policy. Now, are they different in terms of personality? Sure, they have different personalities. But when we talk policy, the policy towards black people by the United States government, there has been no change. What you see now, coming from the Democratic Party plantation, is a lot of alarmism towards black people, a lot of shaming. All of you who didn't vote for Kamala Harris, but they still haven't told you what Kamala Harris was going to do. Truth of the matter is, black people were going to suffer under Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. It was just going to be under different strategies, different tactics. Kamala Harris was going to suffocate black people to death by giving all the resources and opportunities to immigrants and brown people. That was the Kamala Harris strategy to suffocate blacks. The Donald Trump strategy to suffocate blacks is to get rid of any federal service or program that he thought lent itself directly to the empowerment of black people. His strategy for marginalizing blacks is to just re-energize and re-empower, traditional white oppression. So again, it was going to be the same outcome. The only difference is whether it was going to be through a Democratic face or a Republican face. So I don't really pay too much attention to personalities. And I think that when black people do pay too much attention to personalities, that is a telltale sign that we still don't understand American politics.
I say to that. And one key word you used in there was alarmism. I always see us freak out every 4 years about something. And like you said, they continue to have us operating in dysfunction. Why is it so hard for us to snap out of this dysfunction? Why can't we catch it, analyze it, assess it, and break free from it?
Well, understand something when you're dealing with the American Negro. You are dealing with the most traumatized collective unconscious in the history of mankind. There has never been another group of people more traumatized than the American African is. And as a result of that trauma, most black people in this country are in the absolute pursuit of three things. And they are willing to obtain these things or die in the process. One is white proximity. We want to be as close to white people as we possibly can, which is a great contradiction because at the same time that we are in such a pursuit of proximity to Caucasians, we keep talking about Black Wall Street. Well, Black Wall Street was built in exclusivity. The Black Wall Street came about because white people did not allow us to participate in their society. If white people never segregated black people, you would have never had a Black Wall Street. Mm-hmm. Black Wall Street grew out of a necessity for black people to do for themselves. So at the same time, we will praise Black Wall Street coming up next year. I think it'll be 103, 104 years.
Yep.
We will We will praise Black Wall Street, but yet we are in total pursuit of white proximity. We want to marry white people. We want to date white people. We want white women to give birth to our children. We want to live in their neighborhoods. We want to send our kids to their colleges. How are you talking about Black Wall Street, and yet you are in pursuit of white proximity? So again, Black people are in pursuit of white proximity, and we are in pursuit of white validity. We want white people to approve of us. Black people are still psychologically dependent on white approval. This is why we go crazy when the Black person who should have won the Grammy or the Black person who should have won an Oscar, why do you care whether or not you win an award in your enemy system? Why do you need it? Because you are in pursuit of white validity. Okay? So we want white proximity and we want white validity. And my third one, which is escaping my mind at this time, is going to have to come back to me. But there's the third one, validity, proximity, and there is one more.
No worries.
But with that being said, the reason the American African is always scrambling to find his political balance in this country is because the only time we do anything for ourselves is when white people upset us. Mm-hmm. If they do not make us emotional, we never come together. Let me say that again. Mm-hmm. The only time Black people do anything for themselves as a group is when white people make us emotional. If they don't make us emotional, we don't act. They have to kill one of us. They have to get rid of a federal program. They got to X out a Negro holiday. You know, they have to do something to anger us in order for us to react. And that is because we don't have love. See, Chinese Americans, you know, they did not have to be pushed up against the wall to do anything because they're always strategizing for the best interests of Chinese. The East Indian Americans, the Arab Americans, the Latino, nobody has to scramble to find their balance except Black people. And that is because we don't do anything progressively for ourselves unless white people make us upset. For example, I have never seen a flyer in my life. In my life, I have never come across a flyer for a conference or a meeting to talk about building an independent Black reality, an independent Black institution, an independent Black system. Most of the flyers I came across, it might be about diet and nutrition, which is important, but it's not everything. Okay? People talk about history and culture. That's important. It's not everything. Religion and spirituality, that's important. It's not everything. You know, of course, clubbing and partying. Black people love to party and club.
Yep.
And I got to say that we party more than any other group in this country, which speaks to our unwillingness to embrace the challenges that we have in front of us. We would not party as much as we did if we were a serious people. But we are not a serious people. We are a very childish and trivial people. And that's why nobody goes to sleep. There's no group of people in America who goes to sleep wondering what Black people are going to do.
And you know, as you say that, Dr. Umar, and I love the song and the culture. I'm a DJ. To your point, right now there is cohorts of Black people who are saying, well, as the country is clashing, we got boots on the ground and we got fans right now. Is that the proper response to segue to your other point, which is...
What do you mean when they say they got boots on the ground?
Oh, you haven't heard the new song, have you?
No, sir.
Oh, man. Dr. Umar, just after we get off the phone tonight, just type in boots on the ground and you're going to see a wave of Black folks. It started down in South Carolina. There's a new wave of line dances from this one song. And it is on fire right now. And to your point, we're not taking things serious because as folks are saying, okay, as the country's crashed, at least we can come together and dance and sing. And don't get me wrong, I love the culture and energy of us dancing and coming together in unison, line stepping, all that great stuff. But to your first point, even though you're not familiar with the song, is then Trump a good thing for Black folks because we respond when we're emotional? To your other point.
No.
Okay.
No. Understand this. No amount of racism is going to make Black people do what we ought to do. I want to be very clear about that. When we only act when they make us emotional.
Right.
Which means what? Which means the power structure automatically controls your behavior. Because if they need you to calm down, all they have to do is withdraw their antics. You see that? So if I want to get you to burn down your neighborhood, I'll do something to upset you. And when I want you to stop burning down your neighborhood, I'll just stop accepting you sign some phony law that we never going to enforce, hire some meaningless black people to an irrelevant position to make black people think they have some kind of a voice now. And then we stop. Listen, all of the riots that we had as a result of those who were murdered, and I supported the riot as the initial step in a revolutionary process. I supported it. The American Revolution was born of a riot in Boston, the Boston Massacre.
Yep.
So I support the riot as the initial step in a revolutionary process. But guess what? As I just said, as soon as they back off and throw you something, i.e. pay off the families of the people murdered by the police, we go back to doing what we've been doing, which is absolutely nothing. Here's the question, my brother. With all these police murders that we have had, we still don't have a single city in black America that polices itself. Let me say that one more time. With all the police murders that we have had going back to Barack Obama, and of course, police genocide of Africans is as old as America, but I'm going to go back to Barack Obama with this modern wave of police genocide that was symbolized by the execution of Trayvon Martin by George Zimmerman. So if we just look back over the past, going on 20 years now. So as a result of that, we haven't created a single self-patrol network in the black. There's no city in America where black people have another number they can call instead of 911 if something goes down. Think about that for a minute now. Well, think about that. We still depend on the police to respond to issues in our community, knowing damn well they don't care about us. The point I'm trying to make is this, my brother. Without love, you will never do anything proactively for yourself. The only thing you can do is react to the power structure. When they kill us, we react. They remove a statue, we react. They eliminate DEI, we react. We only react to what the enemy does. We never proact for ourselves. You need love to do that, my brother. That's why you can't get us to come together for nothing. We don't love each other. It ain't intellectual. It ain't political. It ain't spiritual. It's psychological. We don't love one another. Black people can't stand black people, and there's no one we can't stand more than another black person.
Shay, to that, and I can attest to that, brother. As much, I don't mean to brag on myself, but as much as I do for our brothers and sisters in our community, the fact that if you claim to be, you subscribe to a black consciousness or a different ideology, spirituality, etc., it's always a fight. It's a tug of war to have these conversations, or for our people to even investigate, okay, what are you talking about? It's like that cognitive dissonance kicks in so hard, and it becomes frustrating for brothers like me to want to keep going. So what do you say to that for brothers who just like, okay, I'm gonna just do me. I'm gonna love my people, but I'm getting out this trying to unify us because it's so challenging at times because we're so broken. To your other point.
Well, number one, the biggest mistake that sincere activists make, and I'm saying sincere, because there is a very big myth that the brothers and sisters you see on YouTube running their mouths are leaders. They're not leaders.
I agree.
They're not activists. They don't do anything but talk. But unfortunately, because black people have been indoctrinated to view all of their problems through a religious analysis, we view anybody who talks black talk as a leader. And that comes from church. Because in church, what is the most important trait of a pastor in a church? It is not helping the community. It is not organizing against oppression. It is not solving the problems of his congregation. The most important trait of a pastor, the number one thing that gets you hired in church is what?
How you can
speak.
Excite the crowd.
Absolutely. Oratorical skill. That's it. That's it. I've heard of pastors who are hired by churches who were known adulterers, known thieves, known drug addicts. Oh, this happens all the time, my brother. It happens all the time. And then you ask the church, why did you hire him of low character over this brother of high character? You know what they say? Because the brother of high character, he cannot pull the people in. That brother over there, even though we know he's a scam artist, he will get the people in here. And even though he's going to steal, we still going to make a lot more money after he steals off the top than what we would make from the honest pastor. So churches are enslaved to the pastor who has charisma and speaking skill. And so in Black America, guess what we do, brother? We do the same thing. We judge and choose our leaders based off of oratorical skill. I remember when Barack Obama was running for the presidency, and I'll never forget it because the year he got elected was the year of my pre-doctoral internship, so I remember it well. And when I would ask black people to give me a specific reason why they could vote for Barack Obama, most of them couldn't articulate his platform, so they could not give me a reason. And for the ones who didn't say it was because he was black, which is most people's ridiculous reason, the other most often cited reason for why Negroes voted for Barack Obama, they said because he speaks well.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
I voted for Barack Obama because he speaks well. And I'm giving you that example, my brother, because it shows you that we are still trying to solve political problems through a religious analysis. And so anybody on YouTube, anybody on Instagram who talks or speaks, and I can say this because I'm more popular than all of them. I get requested to speak more than all of them put together. I'm more credentialed than all of them. So since I sit on the top of black consciousness, not just in America, but pretty much around the world, I can say this.
I agree.
As the most requested black scholar in the world. They don't do anything. They're not trying to build any schools. They're not fighting against oppression. They're not raising no institutions. All they do is talk. They are reporters, okay? At the very least, they are reporters, and at the very best, they might be mild researchers if they stop regurgitating my talking points. But with that being said, we have to look at the fact that we don't really have any genuine activists. But for those who are genuine activists, my brother, getting back to my initial point, and I digress, the biggest mistake that genuine activists make in America is we assume black people care because they are conscious. You cannot do that. People become conscious for a lot of reasons. And they don't all become conscious because they want to help black people. For example, people study the Bible for a lot of reasons. People study the Bible because, hey, I want to start making money by marrying people. People study the Bible because, hey, I want to open up a church and I want to, make sure I make a lot of money in my church. People, learn the Bible because they use it to kick game on a female and draw on the sisters they want to date. There's a lot of reasons people study the Bible, and it's not all about serving God. It's the same thing in black consciousness. A lot of people come into black consciousness and they study black consciousness not because they want to help black people, but because of all the other opportunities that can come from it, the money making, the social media aspect of black consciousness, being invited to the events to speak. That's another aspect. For many of them, it's an entrepreneurship. For most black people in black consciousness, at least the ones who are well known, it's because there's an economic or ego-based profit or gain that they stand to collect by being in black consciousness. So we have, what I'm saying in essence, brother, black consciousness is not enough. If somebody tell me I'm conscious, I'm well read, I'm well researched, that don't mean nothing. What are you doing for black people? Not what you're telling them, not what you're saying, not what you're writing, not what you're believing. What are you doing? That is the most important question you can ever ask somebody who claims to be in the black consciousness. And if they give you something like, I'm teaching, teaching does not qualify as activism in my book.
Got it.
For a lot of people, it does. Because if teaching classifies as activism, the pastor is the activist. And I think most of us would agree that the pastor is not an activist, but the pastor teaches. And sometimes he will teach some really good things about life on that pulpit. Does that make him an activist? Most people would say no. A pastor teaching his congregation even if he's teaching outside the Bible on real life, that still does not constitute him being an activist. So if the pastor is not necessarily an activist by teaching in church, why are you an activist for teaching on YouTube?
So you're saying that they do it for the glamour, a lot of folks.
Most of them. It is opportunism. Whatever the opportunity is, women, money, status, ego. Some people use black consciousness to try to segue into pop culture. You know, as you know with me, because I'm so popular, sometimes people in pop culture, they want to pull me over, right? You know, you probably saw me on Drewski a couple weeks ago.
You've been on everything, man.
Yeah, right. But what you also saw on Drewski is Dr. Umar don't fold.
That's right.
I don't care what platform you put him in, he not folding.
Oh, yeah, they tried
so for me, when I get invited on them platforms, you know, my whole thing is they better understand that this is not an act. I am not in character. This is who I am, and this is all I've been about since the age of 9 in my Black History class at George G. Meade Elementary School in North Philadelphia. So you get the real deal when you get me. You don't get somebody who came over from consciousness or who parents wasn't consciousness, so I automatically am considered to be conscious even if I'm not. This is pure first generation born and bred Ifa Tunde.
Ashe to that. So I want to start kind of like from the beginning because we jumped in straight like that just to drop knowledge really quick. But for those who don't know who you are, Dr. Umar, can you introduce yourself to the world for those who might be listening tonight who might not really know who Dr. Umar is? And then I want to ask you, how you doing, man, because you're so busy.
I'm doing well, brother. You know, I'm blessed. It's always a struggle, but it's always worth it. It's always a struggle, but it's always worth it. Quick update on FDMG before I answer that question, brother. We are down to our last renovation step, and that is to cover up the floors inside the school. We got about 11 classrooms where we took out the old dirty rugs that were there when we purchased the building, and we just need to cover those up. So I'm going to be meeting with some floor contractors, and we're going to get those floors covered up, and once we get those floors covered up, we will be applying for our certificate of occupancy with the city of Wilmington, and then it's just up to them to see whether they pass us or whether they come back with a bunch of complaints that we need to address.
Yep.
So that is where we are at this point.
It looks beautiful. I've looked at it, and I donated just recently $100, y'all, and we'll get to how you can donate as well. But go ahead,
Absolutely.
Dr. Umar.
So yes, indeed, brothers and sisters, we don't just talk over here. I don't just preach Pan-Africanism. I live Pan-Africanism. The Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy will be the first school in American history, 400 years plus, to be built exclusively off the black dollar and from African people from every community in the world. We're the first to ever do it in the history of this country. No white subsidy, no white bank money, no non-African financing whatsoever. Will be the first school to begin operation inside of a modern, traditional school building. Not a church, not a basement, not a storefront, but in an actual school. And we actually have 2 schools. We're renovating one now, and we're going to start renovating the Frederick Douglass High School building towards the end of this year. So to answer your question, Dr. Umar Ifa Tunde is a certified school psychologist. He's a doctor of clinical psychology. He's an expert on the mental health education and special education of African children. He's a Pan-Africanist. He's probably the most influential black consciousness personality in the world, possibly coming second only to General Ibrahim Traoré of the Sahel, Burkina Faso, who I salute, okay, and honor for the example that he's laying out right before our eyes of our people. He's actually living what I'm saying we need to be doing. In addition to that, I'm an author of 2 books, Psychoacademic Holocaust, The Special Education and ADHD Wars Against Black Boys, also Black Parent Advocate, The Art of War for Dealing with America's Public and Charter Schools. And that's pretty much who I am right there in a nutshell. And if there's any parents who ever need to reach me because they have issues about their children, I do a free monthly Black Parent Know Your School Rights teleconference from Instagram Live where parents can call in and get answers to their education and mental health concerns regarding their children. And if anybody ever needs to reach me, they can do so by texting me. I don't answer the phone, so you got to text. 215-989-9858. Again, that's 215-989-9858. Former Minister of Education to Marcus Garvey's UNIAACL, which was the largest black organization in modern history that gave us the red, black, and green Black Liberation flag. And I'm also a blood relative to the great Frederick Douglass, who was a cousin to my 4 times great-grandfather, Civil War veteran, Stephen Henry Bailey.
Ashe. And Dr. Umar, thank you for updating us on the school. I was actually going to ask that in just a moment, but since you touched on it, since we opened that door, I hate that you have adversaries out there who think that with grassroots dollars that this is an easy project, what you're doing. To take a school, to renovate it the way you have, it takes time. And for us, I don't know why black folks or the Negroes love to accuse you of, wasting money or doing something nefarious with the money, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think they understand the dynamics and what it takes to get the licenses, the building products, the contractors, et cetera, all by yourself. We're not using white folks. This is a black project with black dollars. And I'm defending you all the time, good brother.
But, the thing about it, to put it in perspective, my brother, what I found most ironic about the critics, and let us be clear, the donors are never the critics.
Right.
Anyone who's a critic claiming to have donated, they are a liar. Let me say that we have recorded every single donation we have ever taken. Let me say that one more time, because I think the YouTubian struggle streamers need to hear me when I say that. We have recorded the name, the date, the address, and the amount of every single donation we have ever received. So nobody can slide through the cracks and say, I've donated, and now I want to turn into a hater. You've never donated. Provide your name. I can tell you if you've donated or not, because we've recorded every single one. The people who are slandering the project are not the donors. They are the haters. And the biggest reason why I'm receiving that hate from them, and let us be clear, most of our people love and support Dr. Umar, so the haters are a minority. I want to be clear. They are a minority, but they are a very loud minority. And so with that being said, the reason why I have that opposition against the FDMG Academy campaign is they're looking at what it would mean, not for our children, who should be the focus. They're looking at what it would mean personally for Dr. Umar Ifatunde. In other words, who I am is blinding them so heavily that they can't even focus on the fact that this is a school that's going to transform the minds of our children and possibly put our people on a brand new trajectory. I mean, we are going to remake the consciousness of African people through those students. We are going to remake the definition of leadership through those students. We are going to rebirth Garvey's Pan-Africanism through those students. We're going to teach our children the love of the divine, of supreme consciousness. They will fear nothing but the almighty ruler, sovereign ruler of this universe. So rather than looking at the potential and the greatness that God is going to bless us to do through this school, they're simply looking at what it would mean for me. They're looking at the fact that he's already the most requested. He's already the most popular. I'm probably the most popular black consciousness personality in American history. And I say that with reservations because none of my great ancestors, who I would never compare myself to, but none of our great ancestors had the benefit of social media. So this is not a fair comparison, right? None of them had the Marcus Garvey, Douglass, Fred Hampton, George Jackson, Medgar Evers. None of them had the benefit of social media. I do. But with that benefit, it has made me arguably for some and undisputedly for others the most popular black consciousness personality in American history. I am without question the most popular black consciousness personality to those under the age of 30 in history, in American history. And that might be global history too. And I'm definitely without question the most popular on the college campus of any non-celebrity scholar activist. None has been more popular than me on the college campus.
Listen, I saw that video. I saw that video when you came out on the stage. I can't remember what university it was, but you said Black Queens Forever, and all the other kids says nobody's now. I was like, yes.
And I'll say this to you, brother, because it's a testament to the Almighty. It's not a testament to me. It is a testament to the Most High. It's not a testament to me. That reaction that I got at that college, That's regular for me.
Wow.
It just so happens it got captured that time. Now, no, it doesn't happen. I don't get that reception every single time I speak at a campus. That was an HBCU.
Yeah.
But I will say, whether it's an HBCU or a PWI, I do get that reception just about every other visit.
Oh, yeah.
Most of my visits, I get that reception. That was just one time where you actually had a chance to catch it in the moment. But that right there, that is normal business for Dr. Umar.
Yeah, that was electric. And go
but let me close that question. So they're looking at, and I think you follow me when I say this, they're simply looking at how much more this adds to the legend and the legacy of Ifa Tunde, and they want to kill that, my brother. And this is a big problem we've had through history, where jealous black men and women will tear down a movement because of their envy for the movement's leader. And if you went to any one of these people, if you went to them one-on-one, let's say you meet one of my haters, you can say, have you ever met him in person? They might say yes, they might say no. Do you know him personally at all? Have you ever hung out? Have you ever worked with him? Have you ever been in the order? No, I haven't. So upon what basis did you develop so much vitriol for this black man who you don't even know? They don't even know. Most of them are bandwagoners of the YouTubian struggle streamers who are jealous because the only way that they can become known to the world is to talk about me on the internet.
Absolutely. And you've kind of already touched on this in multiple ways, but I wanted to inquire, as we talk about the haters and those who are have vitriol, etc. Why do black people, we love to eat each other? We devour each other when we're hurt, when we're down. You see the P. Diddy's, you see the R. Kelly's, you see the Bill Cosby's. As soon as they get in some type of trouble or issues with the white power structure, here they come. They ready to kick you all up and down the street. Why are we so easily prepared to devour one another?
Plantation psychosis. And what I mean by that is simply this. On the plantation, there was a strict rule that the slave master could only manumit a certain number of enslaved Africans per year. Sometimes it was one, sometimes it was two, never more than a handful. And because only one African could get his freedom out of a plantation of 500, we learned very early on the plantation that we had to look out for ourselves as opposed to looking out for the whole group. So those manumission laws set us against each other. Because it said if you want to be free, all you have to do is help expose another slave. Whether they're not doing their work, whether they're running away, whether they're plotting a rebellion, whether they're stealing food, whether sneaking away to see their wife at night, the only way you get free on this plantation is by undermining one of your own. And so what happened was, after 246 years of that, we began to believe that if one African wins, no other African can win. So when you see that one enslaved African receive his meritorious manumission, you automatically said the rest of us are done with. That mindset has carried with us for 400 years, my brother. Mm-hmm. And so when somebody sees you doing well, or if they see a LeBron James doing well, if they see a Dr. Umar doing well, if they see the sister down the street open up her business doing well, their initial reaction is hate. Why? Because we have been conditioned by the power structure to believe that when any African wins, there's no longer an opportunity for another African can win. And that is ridiculous. It is preposterous to believe that there's only room for one. And this is why we got to embrace our African culture. Because if we go back to our African culture, we can rid a lot of this ineffective, low vibrational conditioning that we've received. Because in African culture, we embrace life and challenge from a position of abundance. We believe that the universe is abundant. So if you're doing well, that does nothing to stop me from doing well. Right. Because we believe that all African people can do well at the same time. And we believe the best way for all African people to do well at the same time. It's for all African people to work together at the same time. But again, the slave master conditioned us into believing that the only way we could win was to work for ourselves and turn our back on the others.
I shaded that. It's definitely deeply rooted and embedded in us. I remember a pastor called it internalized oppression years ago. Dr. Frank Reed out of Baltimore. Shout out to him. But anyways, I wanted to jump into some contemporary issues, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, we have the white supremacists. We know that. And we know that we have this case with our good young brother named Carmelo Anthony, who, by the way, I believe he just got a bond and he's now able to go home and be under house arrest. Thankfully, he got that. But what is it about the white supremacists' inability to be objective, reasonable, fair, or just when it comes to black pain and suffering? They totally have ignored all of the different layers to this case with Brother Carmelo Anthony. But when the Zimmermans and the other cases that are very popular nationally, how come they weren't objective and fair in those cases? But with us, when this young brother got into that situation with that other young man, why are they so unable to be objective and fair?
I would simply say, when have they ever been?
Right.
That is not their culture. That is not who they are. That is not how they've taken over the world. Okay? They are very much a narcissistic, savage, power-hungry group of people. And for them, there is no moral code. They are very much about Machiavellian ethics, which is to have no ethics. The ends always justify the means. So I don't know why black people are surprised that when our children are killed in unjustifiable murders, we're supposed to accept the exoneration of the perpetrator. But when, our child is in a position where he allegedly may have to inadvertently take the life of another person in self-defense, he's already crucified and convicted in the court of public opinion before he's ever seen a day inside of court. Why? Because he's black and the victim is white. If this was the exact opposite in situation where the perpetrator was black and the victim, where the victim was black, where the victim was black and the perpetrator was white, this wouldn't even have made television. This would not even be in conversation right now. Because in America, black life has been so devalued to the point that when it is lost, no one really responds. Now, yes, we will respond with the protest marches and that kind of a thing, but we don't do anything after that, and that's the criticism against black folks. But white people, they would have never even paid this any mind had the victim, not been white. And people are making so much noise over the fact that the young brother had a knife. Well, if I lived in Texas and I was 16, 17 years old, I would probably walk around with a knife as well.
You're damn right.
Texas is one of the most violent states in America.
Facts.
It's a state where you can open carry without a license. Okay, it is a state that aggressively defends the right of its citizens to always be prepared for combat.
Yep.
So if you don't have a problem with people walking around with guns unregistered, why is it a problem for this young child to have had a knife? You see, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
At all.
They moved that goalpost so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a shame. I want to see how this plays out. I want to see what attorneys actually come to the defense of this young man. I hope the same nationally recognized attorneys that come out when we are murdered by police to make that money, that death money, I would hope they come out to defend this young man, because I was part of a case last year. I don't know if you know about this. Well, I wasn't
down in Florida?
part of the case. Yes, but I followed it closely, the case of Brendan Depper.
Yep, I know about that.
Similar situation, but drastically different outcome. In the Brendan Depper situation, he attacked a teacher's aide for taking a video game from him that his IEP specifically stated could never take from him. So she broke the law in violating the IEP, but he was the one who got convicted of the crime.
Right.
You see, but again, to my point, none of these nationally recognized black attorneys came to the attention of this black boy. And I'll tell you why they don't come to the attention of black boys accused of crimes against white people. It's because it's not sexy. It is taboo. If you want to be famous and comfortable in America as a black person, you don't ever stand in defense of a black person who has ever attacked or assaulted a white person, even if it was in justifiable self-defense. And, unfortunately, we have a lot of cowards in our community. And I don't even know if Al Sharpton has gotten involved in this yet or not. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't, because, again, it's not your rank and file police assassination of an unarmed black person, which is a pretty cut and dry situation, and everybody knows they're going to get paid. This is not that situation. This is a situation where you actually have to defend and stand up for this brother. From what I understand, he's never been arrested, never been to jail, no criminal record. I think he was almost a 4.0 student, allegedly. I heard that. Good kid. But, hey, he was up against two brothers, twins. And, again, I don't take lightly the loss of life. I'm sorry that he lost his life. I'm sorry, to the family that they lost a member. But at the same time, had the table been turned and he had taken the life of that young brother, I doubt very seriously if they would have gave a damn at all. So I'm just saying all that to say that I'm standing with my brother until I see that what he did was done out of an unprovoked act of bigotry against that white kid. I believe that he feared for his life. From what I understand, the white kid was much bigger, much stronger. And
220, 6 feet.
And say that again.
220 pounds, over 6 feet.
Oh, he would have destroyed that little black boy. He would have destroyed that little black boy. And I don't know if Florida has a stand your ground law or not, but even if they don't, they definitely have self-defense laws. Otherwise, they wouldn't be telling everybody to buy guns. So I believe that there's laws on the books there, that clearly will defend and protect that young man, and what he did to protect his life if he gets the best attorney. It all comes down to how hard you fight in court. It all comes down to how hard you fight in court. It comes down to the judge that you get. It's going to come down to where this case is tried. He's been getting death threats. The family has been getting death threats. And I believe that he will not get an opportunity to receive a fair trial if this case is tried in the same county where the murder took place. I think that county is already biased. The fact that the family's getting death threats, the fact that they can't go outside alone, I think that makes it crystal clear that this case cannot be tried in that county. Even if they move it, it becomes a question of exactly where you're going to try the case. It almost harkens me back to the O.J. Simpson case where they had to try that in another county, because of how biased they felt people would be in L.A. County or whatever the murder took place. So we're almost dealing with O.J. again, only this time the victim is a man, not a woman. This is not a romance. And the black male who's accused of the crime, he's not a multi-million-dollar celebrity athlete.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for all of that. And sending my blessings and prayers to that young brother and his family, because we know what happened. Brothers and sisters, we know what happened. This is a typical case of bullyism. And when you're white, you right. When you black, get back. You know how it goes. But anyway, so I wanted to touch on something in education today. I've been thinking about this leading up to today's conversation. What do you think about AI technology as it relates to education or in general? Because we have new things called ChatGPT, Claude, all of these new applications that is allowing folks to cheat intellectualism. They are bypassing thinking, critical thinking. How detrimental is that for us as a black community?
From a imperialist perspective, from a white supremacy domination perspective, from a capitalist perspective, artificial intelligence, along with the social media revolution, along with the internet revolution, along with the video game revolution, is a dream come true for them. Remember, what is the purpose of church and public school? To teach the people how not to think. That is the goal of education and religion. So now we are entering into a sphere now where the internet, I want to say this, IT stands for information technology. So I'm going to lump in AI, video gaming, social media. I'm going to lump all that into information technology. We are at a point now in the history of this planet where information technology may surpass church as the number one influence on the minds of everybody. I do not know if religion is strong enough to withstand the indoctrinating effect, to withstand the intoxicating effect of artificial intelligence, social media, video gaming, in the internet world. I think that information technology might have replaced Jesus. It might have.
Wow.
We already know the church hasn't had the children for at least the past 30 years. So they've been lost the youth.
Yep.
That's nothing new. But now they might even take the adults because, the elders are getting older. And so that means that next generation, the people who are 60 years now, they didn't have a good 10, 20 years of information technology. I just don't think religion will ever have the control it ever used to be. But that's not necessarily good, although I don't like the control religion had. But I really don't like the control that information technology has, if you can follow what I'm saying.
Yep.
Because religion is boring, but you do it because you don't want to be on the other side of God, as you're taught, right? But it's boring. So you really got to hold people's attention in religion. That's why the pastor's oratorical skill is so effective. In information technology, you're not bored. You love it. You are addicted to it.
Oh, yeah.
I just read something today. It said that people who scroll through their phones 6 hours a day are some of the most, and I may be misquoting slightly, but to the point that it was making, to the point, it basically said people who scroll through their phones on average of 4 to 6 hours a day, they are normally some of the lowest achieving people in the world.
I believe that.
And I'm saying most people scroll through their phones damn near 6 hours a day. So, and I'm bringing it up to say this. If I believe in globalism, if I believe in the Illuminati, if I am a member of the New World Order, I love this. Because after all, who's giving us the information technology? It's the globalists.
Yep.
Think about it. Why did the Rockefellers not want economic science taught in the public schools? Because they said if we teach the children how to make money, they'll take money from us. We have to keep the children dumbed down. That's why you don't have financial science in public school. You don't even have it in the rich white private schools. You don't even get financial science. The Rockefellers wouldn't let it happen because the only way they could protect their monopoly on the financial systems of the world was to make sure public school children were not taught those sciences. So now you have a system where you say instead of not teaching something in school, just make sure everybody is dumbed down by their dependency on information technology. And you have a whole country full of electronic zombies, a whole continent full of electronic zombies, a whole world full of electronic zombies. I mean, think about it now. You are at a point now where if you are a globalist and you want to take over this world, one military, one bank, one religion, one school system, you want to absolutely control this world and then depopulate the world on the basis of color, with blacks being the first to go. Artificial intelligence is a dream for the globalists in the eugenicists. Because all you got to do is give every black kid a cell phone, give every black person a cell phone, and you'll never have to worry about them standing up against you again.
Wow.
Information technology has replaced religion as the greatest time waster and distractor for black America.
Man. You know what? I gotta drop a bomb on that, Dr. Umar, if you don't mind. Because, I agree. I share the same sentiments as well, because I'll give you a quick example. I work in education myself and with young college students. And when we had a trivia for Black History Month, it was an embarrassment that they didn't know who our basic historical figures are. The traditional ones, the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, the Rosa Parks, the regular folks that we were taught growing up, and many of them did not know who they were. It was astonishing. It was slightly embarrassing, and at the least shocking. So the phone, to your point, has stolen them away from investigating, being critical, going outside. Just interacting with the environment. So shout out to the folks. The only kids I see really interacting with the environment are those who play sports or, traditional sports, basketball, football, baseball, things like that. But in terms of actually attempting to just learn, just go in a corner and get it in, I rarely see that. But shout out to the kids that do. Not saying that all of them do, but this AI technology has definitely had an impact on us. And that's a great segue to the fact that you made, to the point that you made, that it could be stronger than religion. So, Dr.
It definitely is for the children, and it's already been for the children. I mean, the church lost the youth, at least 20 years ago. The church ain't had the youth. The church hasn't had the youth this century. Let's just put it like that. The church has not had the youth since the year 2000.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking under 30. You're right. Now, there's still youth who go to church, but the church does not influence young people the way it used to, But they still had the adults, and now with AI, they may not even have the adults anymore, But again, it's not a blessing for us because we need thinkers. We don't need robots. And artificial intelligence is basically entertaining our people into a psychological death. You got to remember now, from a military science perspective, Sun Tzu, the art of war. Sun Tzu said it is better to leave a nation intact and just take it over, as opposed to going to war against it and having to kill everyone. See that?
Yeah.
So in other words, what can I do to destroy Black America? I don't want to use COINTELPRO. That's too messy. I tried AIDS. It didn't get the job done. I tried crack. It's working, but the Negroes are still here. I need something that will put their children to sleep for good. That I never have to worry about another Fred Hampton. I don't need another King, another Malcolm, another Douglas, another Garvey, another Ida B, another Harriet. I don't need a Fred Hampton, a George Jackson. I don't need an Al Prentice Bunchy Carter. I don't need a Carter G. Woodson, a Booker T. What can I do to psychologically eliminate the Black child? To turn the Black child into a psychologically lifeless being. That would be artificial intelligence.
Damn.
You think about this now. Think about it. Our kids were not reading before AI.
Oh, man.
They were not. Look, half the Black boys in 4th grade right now in America cannot read on a 4th grade level. Right now. Before AI. Half the Black boys in the 8th grade could not do math on grade level. Before AI. You think you got a special education crisis now? You ain't seen nothing. And given the fact that most of our kids are raised, 70% of them, in single-parented, female-led homes, you think that Black mother is going to be able to keep all 2 and 3 of her kids off that cell phone long enough to do their homework? And then they talking about why we ain't got no Black boys, Black men are dropping out of college. They say there's far less Black men in college now than there was a generation ago. Well, it really ain't going to be none now. And another big problem with this thing, with this information technology, is everybody think they can get rich through YouTube. That's another problem.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
That's another. Everybody's a struggle streamer now. Everybody's a struggle streamer because they all think that they're going to be the one to get rich off of YouTube, and it's not going to happen. Our kids thinking they're going to get rich off of YouTube is no different than thinking you're going to become the next multi-million-dollar athlete in the NFL or the NBA. It's another pipe dream. To make a long story short, information technology is psychological warfare against the Black community, and it is probably going to turn all of our children into psychological casualties in the war against white supremacy.
Wow, man. And I saw, to your point about young brothers in college, I saw a stat that said today at our HBCUs, only 26% of the population collectively at HBCUs are Black men. And I said, whoa, how did that happen? If it is true. So, to your point, man, this is scary. I'm so glad you...
But here's the thing, too, my brother. Mm-hmm. I'm not automatically alarmed by it because the college degree isn't really providing Black men with much opportunity.
You right?
Now, if they're going into real estate, if they're going into entrepreneurship, If they're going into trade school,
Trades, yep.
because there's other avenues to wealth creation. So if they're going into these other avenues, I'm okay. The question is, what that research is not telling us is what are they doing instead of going to college.
In spite of that. Yep. I agree. So that's some research I need to do. How many of our young black men are in the trades or other fields, trucking, things like that? So, Dr. Umar, we are almost close to an hour. I would like you to please tell us how can we contribute to your school, and if there's anything else you want to share as it relates to the donations. I know you got a lot of saboteurs out there, people who are trying to shut you down, and I can't imagine what you go through, man.
But they can't stop it, man. See, people. I get asked this question all the time.
Yeah.
And people ask me, they say, "How do you keep going?"
Yeah.
Despite all the opposition that you get. They'll say, I'll get on the internet and I can scroll through pages of haters attacking you. And yet I'll see you at a sold-out college. I'll see you in Africa. I'll see you in Europe. I'll see you in South America. I'll see you in Australia. And by the way, I'm the only black scholar on the planet who's been invited to speak on every continent 3 times.
I saw that.
And I might be the only one who's ever done it in history, but definitely the only one alive. Now, what allows me to keep going is really, really simple, and I offer this as a small lesson to our brothers and sisters in resilience. And that is, if you know your purpose, you can put up with any opposition. That is to say, if you know why you are here, you can put up with any what that will come your way. I've been able to sustain myself through all the obstacles because I know that I'm doing the work that my ancestors sent me here to do. That and only that is what sustains me. If I had questions about whether I should be trying to open that school, if I had questions as to whether or not I need to be spending my life traveling the world motivating our people to organize, if I had questions about whether or not I was ever supposed to become a psychologist and really help our parents understand and take back their power in the education and mental health system, if I had questions, I may have given this up a long time ago. If I did this for stardom, if I did this for approval, I might have given it up a long time ago. I do this for one reason and one reason only, because it's the reason for which I was born. And that is what sustains me through the struggle. As far as the donations, our brothers and sisters can donate on PayPal only through PayPal. If you see any other financial exchange platform advertising FDMG, it's a scam. There's people out there using Cash Apps. We don't have the Cash App anymore. We don't have Zelle. We don't have Venmo. All we have is PayPal. And that is paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Again, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. If they want to mail a donation payable to FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 9634. Again, FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware 19809. They can always text message me if they need that information, 215-989-9858. A couple of upcoming engagements. As I mentioned earlier, the event in Connecticut is being postponed, and I will come back on the show to discuss that, once we have the new date. But I'll be in New Brunswick this Thursday, April the 17th, at Dootsy's Kitchen in New Brunswick. If anybody want to go to that New Brunswick event, it's 5 to 9 this Thursday. And that's 732-527-9390, 732-527-9390, and that's at Dootsy's Kitchen. And then I'll be in Columbus, Ohio on Sunday, May 25th, which is African Liberation Day, and I'll be speaking at the Ohio Black Expo on the riverfront in Columbus, Ohio. I'll be in Chicago Tuesday, June the 10th at 7 o'clock, Jacob Carruthers Center for Inner City Studies, 700 East Oakwood Boulevard. And in addition to those dates, I'll be at the Oxford Union in the United Kingdom, May the 29th. I know if you remember, Malcolm X went to the Oxford Union back in 1964, a few months before he was assassinated. He did his famous
Africa
debate.
too? What?
Yes.
Okay.
No, an Oxford Union in England.
Okay.
Yeah, Malcolm X went there. That's one of the last public events that he was able to make prior to his execution. So I've been invited to the same forum.
Awesome.
I've been invited to the Oxford Union to debate as well. That's May 29th. I'll be in Ypsilanti, Michigan for a 2-day mental health conference for black men, June 6th and 7th. Leimert Park, California for Juneteenth. On June 22nd, I'll be speaking at a graduation in Brooklyn, June 27th. Ethiopia World Federation Conference in South Africa. That'll be July 13th to the 16th. I'll be in Nigeria for the Oshun Festival, July the 18th. Miami Gardens, Florida, July the 26th. I should be in Angola, Africa, July the 23rd. Nat Turner on August the 21st. And possibly the Association of Black Psychologists Conference in Daytona Beach, Florida on July the 30th.
Man, I don't know how you do it. I'm listening like, man. Hey, by the way, are you going to do your tour in Africa again? I had always wanted to do that. I've been in school for the last 6 years, but...
Yeah, I'm going to get it done. Once we get done with the school, I think once the school is operational and approved, I think we're going to go ahead and do another group trip to the continent.
That's what's up. Well, Dr. Umar, we did an hour tonight. I hope I didn't take too much of your time. We always appreciate you here in Hartford. You got a lot of fans here. Not fans, supporters, I should say. And I do hope that group can get you back to Connecticut. I was a part of the other group that got you here that time here in Hartford, the last group. I think you might remember. But you meet so many people, I'm sure you probably don't remember all the way. But I appreciate you always making your way up here to the Northeast, to our little boring state, Connecticut, because you enlighten us and you give us the empowerment that we need.
No problem, my brother. Anytime.
So will you be coming back next Monday, or you want to wait till they set up another date?
I'm going to wait until they set up the new date.
All right, good brother.
And then I'll keep you posted on that.
I appreciate you so much, man. Well, keep up the good work, brother. We'll keep donating. Dr. Umar Johnson, everybody. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share before you head out?
No, sir. All is well. Again, if anybody needs to reach me, 215-989-9858.
All right, good brother. Ashe, and peace and blessings on everything you got going on.
Blessings, brother. Yes, sir. All right, King.
All right. Dr. Umar Johnson, everybody.